Hey, niche listeners, this is Leslie here. Today, we wrap up our journey into the Double Dutch niche subculture with a very special conversation. And it's a little different from what we usually do here on Niche to Meet You. The typical style of our episodes follow a narrative documentary format where interviews, when they're shared, are shared sparingly, and there are just clips of them. So first things first, if you haven't listened to the main Double Dutch episode, you'll want to do that. Set aside about 36 minutes before you listen to this one, because you're not going to understand the significance of the guests if you don't listen to that first. The link to that episode is in the show notes. But if you did listen, you may remember this moment. In 1980, something very important happened. The national contest was won by these four girls.
I'm Dolores Brown.
Deshawn Adams, Robin Oakes, Adrian Adams,
who called themselves
Fantastic Four.
These four teenagers, the Fantastic Four, they're crucial to Double Dutch's history and hip-hop's history too. It's so crucial, in fact, that I think it's worth doing something a little different here on Niche to Meet You. We are running in this episode a large segment of my entire interview with them, the Fantastic Four. We talked on Zoom on the evening of Martin Luther King Jr. Day. This conversation begins by talking about their origins, about the World Championships, the McDonald's commercial, the European rap tour, the hip-hop history they were erased from, and then it ends here.
Leslie, we were four young girls. Now I'm getting emotional. From the Lower East Side of Manhattan, and all we wanted to do was come out and play.
Objectively, this is a really great conversation. It's emotional at times. It's joyful. I think it's really rich. And it has reminders that the effects of commodification and adultification aren't isolated to single moments in a person's history. These things get carried with us on and on for the rest of our lives. I'm going to roll the tape right as they introduce themselves so you can get acquainted with their voices. Enjoy.
Hello, everyone. I'm Robin Watterson.
Adrienne Monique Howell, also known as Nikki.
Dolores Finlayson.
My name is Deshawn Goodson, and happy MLK Day.
Well, I am happy to have you all. And yes, MLK Day. And because some of my clients have been off today, I've been basically just working on Double Dutch all day, which, as we'll get to, has immense significance for this day. And so to have the Fantastic Four on Niche to Meet You is no small thing. And by the time this episode airs in full, people will understand how significant this is. So because I've been spending all day in Double Dutch world, I'm a little starstruck, so I hope you all don't mind. I mean, it's been so deeply moving to see you all as these young girls that then get a little bit older into young women. And now then to see you as grown women is incredibly special. And I'm honored that you're here. So I want to go back to the beginning of your story a little bit. You meet in junior high. Your school has a Double Dutch program, formal Double Dutch program. And you do it for a few years, compete for a few years, end up winning the 1980 World Championships based in New York. Everything seems to explode from there. What happens after you win in 1980?
After we won the world, it just seemed like everything started happening. You know, we got called for a McDonald's commercial. The first one was a tryout, and we tried out, and every week we kept coming back. And finally, they chose us, and we were ecstatic. Mm-hmm. But our coach was determined to keep us grounded. She said, any swollen heads, and this is off. She will end everything.
Oh, wow. Oh, my.
So that's why till today, people won't know what we do because we're so we're just afraid to speak about who we are, you know, because of what our coach instilled in us. So we had to keep it quiet. We could tell our parents, our family, and that's it. Like, we didn't really tell many people because we didn't want to put on that persona that we're all that and we're about to be on this commercial. So anyway, so then as time went on, we were still practicing. Mm-hmm. And then at some point, you know, we're ready for a competition and we hear that we're unable to compete because we were paid
Mm-hmm.
for the commercial. We were paid.
Yeah. That must have been a complete surprise. I mean, was anybody thinking about that going into the commercial process?
No,
Way.
no. Our parents didn't know either.
Yeah.
Because once you were paid, you were considered professionals.
Yeah.
We were
Yeah.
no longer amateurs.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Well, and in Pick Up Your Feet is from the year after, which is this documentary that comes out from the 1981. And you're
Mhm.
there to do an exhibition, is that right, during when they're tabulating, because you couldn't compete.
Right.
Mhm.
And I can't remember which one of you said it, but the journalist asked if you regretted being in the commercial. At the time, you said you did.
I think
you,
that was Robin.
Yeah, that's right.
I think I was the only one that felt that way. I didn't really know the magnitude that the commercial would bring for us. I mean, I was young. Okay, I'm not going to say the other part, but I was young. And so I felt like Double Dutch was giving me a scholarship to college. You know, that was my focus because I wanted to get away. I was like, I'm done with LES, you know, growing up there, not the town, but my family. I just wanted to get away. So that's why I said no at the time. I mean, of course, now if you ask me, I probably would answer differently. But yeah, and that was my reason. Was it worth it then, do you think, in hindsight, as adults now?
Oh, yes, definitely worth it.
Well, I guess part of it was that we got residuals from and those
great.
checks just showed up in the mail. And I don't know if we were receiving them at that time of the recording, but yeah, we started getting residuals, and it definitely was way better than a Double Dutch scholarship.
Yeah.
That answer to that question is like twofold. Being that we were no longer able to compete anymore, we didn't know if we can beat other teams after that wanted to come after us.
You get it.
See if they can beat us. So that was the kind of downfall of it. You know, we wanted to be able to see that we can also continue holding our title.
Yes, you're right.
So that's the twofold.
Yeah.
Where it's a yes and no.
Once we graduated from middle school, there was no one else in our corner after that. There was no one else speaking for us. Like our parents, you know, they allowed us to go places, but no one really said, no, these girls are going to do this, or I don't think it's fair that they can't jump anymore. So we were left on our own because we didn't have any coach. We didn't have a coach anymore after we graduated from middle school. So
we were just missing some guidance. Let's just say, we were missing guidance.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so to that end, how long after that does the European tour become a thing?
Well, you know, for me, now that I'm an adult and we're looking back on everything we did was groundbreaking. You know, we didn't know it at the time. The McDonald's commercial, we would have loved to have continued to compete, you know, because that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to beat other teams. However, McDonald's took a chance and was like, nobody else is doing this. We're going to do it, and we're going to do it with you. That was a big deal, right? So here it is, the first international European tour with the break dancers and some rappers, never been done before. We're going to do it, and we're going to do it with you.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, we were considered ambassadors of the sport. And in hindsight, it just really made us legendary.
That's a lot of pressure on the shoulders of young girls.
But, you know, it's like we didn't see the pressure.
We really didn't.
We didn't.
We were having fun. We were having fun.
And people were calling us, asking us to do events. Because at one point we were jumping at the Roxy. We were doing performance. I think that's how we got connected with the rap tour and everything.
Now, mind you, we should not have been at the Roxy.
No,
we
were probably too young to be in there, but our parents trusted us. We were really good girls. We were
true. We were.
You know, we were good girls. Like we didn't, act out and do things. Maybe sometimes traveling we would not do what we're supposed to, but Overall, we were good.
Yeah.
Overall, we were good. So our parents trusted us and let us, travel and do those things.
Till this day, I still don't know how I don't have brothers and sisters. My grandmother raised me, so how I was able to go. But it was just us four with these men and
Yeah.
these other boys our age. So
Yeah.
And I can also relate to Nikki. I grew up with, my parents also being very strict.
Huh.
So I don't know either. I guess they just felt comfortable enough being that
Yeah,
it was
they
the
did.
four of us
Yes.
and
we'll
they
protect
knew
each other.
and then I guess they trusted us, being with each
Yeah.
other as well.
So, how in the world did they feel about you going to Europe? And who was with you on that? Was it you and a bunch of men?
Well,
Yeah.
Lady Blue.
Yeah,
And,
but-
And
yeah,
Blue.
Lady Blue.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And Blue later said, if it wasn't for us, she would have been the only woman on the tour.
Did you feel safe? And looking back, were you safe?
Yeah.
Because we had
Yeah.
each other and we had been
Uh-huh.
friends forever, from
Yeah,
12 years old.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't feel,
No.
I mean, I think, because I think one of the trip was during Thanksgiving.
It was. Mhm.
I remember calling home during that time and, my mom asked how things are going. It's going great. Like it was, I don't know. It was just amazing. We got along. We were safe. We had no issues. There's no stories to tell.
No, yeah.
Of anybody hurting us or doing anything. It was
That's remarkable.
And Leslie, just to pinpoint as well, before this trip, we were used to traveling at one point we were traveling across the United States.
Yes. Mhm.
So I guess our parents just kind of just fell along with the program because
Yeah.
we were traveling previously.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So on this tour, you
Mhm.
had been for years the Fantastic Four. You were known as the
Mhm.
Fantastic Four. You won things. They bill you as the Double Dutch Girls.
Yeah.
Now, with
Mhm.
grown adult eyes, how do you feel about that?
Because we were clueless. Like that's just goes to show you how we didn't have anyone, like we said, to vouch for us. And we were just clueless. We just went out there and jumped and we didn't make a name for ourselves. Of course, it would have been great to have Fantastic Four Double Dutch team, in the books. But yeah, the Double Dutch Girls. So I don't know.
Yeah.
That was, as we got older, we've been working to try to change that. But
Exactly. Well, we didn't get the recognition like the rappers received or the Rocksteady crew received. It seemed like they definitely had much more impact, on the tour for sure. And the people didn't know Double Dutch. I mean, it was definitely groundbreaking for sure.
right.
It was like the Americans
Yeah.
were coming into town. Really, no one was paying attention to the Double Dutch Girls. They were more or less looking at the rappers and the breakdancers.
Yeah, it's interesting. It almost makes a novelty of Double Dutch versus every other art form that was there, or every other, expression that was there was tied to an artist, to actual people.
Yeah.
Right.
It was the graffiti writing.
Yes, right.
Yes, all of
Yeah.
that.
But I mean, all in all, they definitely enjoyed the show. They went absolutely
Yep.
crazy. They started throwing
Yeah.
stuff. So I don't know if
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
a good thing or a bad thing. I think it's a good thing when they
It's a
start
great
throwing
thing.
stuff at you,
Hello, Leslie here. Quick episode break for something very important, and that is to make sure you know about the Niche Notes Substack. It's a new endeavor I'm taking here in the Nicheverse. It's a way that I can share things that don't fit well into a podcast feed. As you might have noticed, these episodes tend to be heavily produced, but there are things I find along the way that don't require that much editing, and they're shorter. And so I thought maybe a Substack is the best place to put them. So there will be written essays, and free subscribers will get the monthly niche letter, which is where I send general updates about the project, as well as occasional free posts. So join us, the Niche Notes Substack. If the Niche to Meet You podcast is the party bus that picks you up and takes you on a field trip to see a niche interest, the Substack is the group text, except it's not annoying. Okay, let's get back to the episode. So you did a Vice interview with Ruza Blue and Fab Five Freddy.
Mhm.
And from this tour it leads to his documentary Wild Style, which establishes these 4 areas of hip hop. The 5th would have been Double Dutch, but it
Mhm.
wasn't in the film. From your perspective, what happened there?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things that when we look
Yeah.
back, like we kind of regret, and having someone, there for us to vouch for us. But yeah, I mean, because there's so many things that we could have done.
Yeah, we could have done things differently that we were able to stand out because, the Rock Steady crew, they made sure they did, and so the rappers, when, we really should have maybe just paid a bit more attention to how we were being portrayed at that time and not overlooked.
I think it has something to do with male versus female as well. Men always like to take the lead. It's almost like being male chauvinist in a sense. Women have to take the back seat. So maybe that was part of it.
I have a question along those lines. So Fab Five Freddy says, the quote from this Vice article is, if the idea to incorporate these girls doing Double Dutch had hit me when we were making Wild Style, it might have been further put in the context of hip hop. Who knows? And I guess my question to you, Deshawn, and everyone else on the call, if Double Dutch had been dominated by boys, do you think it would have stayed in hip hop culture in a saturated way versus being sort of left on the sidelines?
Yeah, maybe if we had a boy on our team or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do agree with that. Because again, I think it's that, that male should lead, in a lot of cases. And, they should be upfront.
Did you experience that a lot on the tour with the men that you were around?
I don't know. Rocksteady crew was more our age.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we had some of the most fun with those guys.
Yeah.
I mean, we used to meet them at Roxy's all the time. So we were really, really good friends with them. And then back in those days, I mean, jumping Double Dutch was a sissy kind of thing. And that definitely wasn't, I mean, you could do it now, but back then, that was a
for boys
no
to do
good.
it, you mean?
Yeah, for boys.
That's interesting because in Pick Up Your Feet, they spend a lot of time on one boy.
Oh yeah. But you see, did you heard what he said, how people say what they say, and he said, well, I keep going doing my business.
Wow.
Because he dealt with a lot.
So I wonder, like, as a thought experiment, what if Double Dutch had been more present in that early foundation of hip hop? Would the sport be different now? Do you think maybe boys would have started doing it and it would not have just been a girl thing?
If they were able to do some of the breakdancing in the rope, I think that would have sealed the deal, because now they're manly men. I think it may have made a difference.
Yeah.
Wow.
I also think because we were so young, we were very passive.
Sure.
You know what I mean? They were definitely more assertive. We weren't built that way.
Yeah.
We just weren't.
Yeah.
Robin said we were like the good girls. Certain things we didn't do, certain things we just didn't say. We just went along and it was fine. And they were fine. I mean, no one did anything crazy, you know what I mean? We were respected, but it was almost like we knew our place, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
We didn't deviate from that. Maybe if we had said certain things and done things a little differently, well, I must admit what did come out from the tour, France now has a Double Dutch Federation because we were seen jumping Double Dutch and it was somebody really was like, wow, we want to do that. And now they have a Double Dutch Federation in France.
Wow.
Because they saw these girls from the United States come and jump Double Dutch.
I think Dr. Gaunt, even when we talked last week, she referenced all these places in Europe know about the Double Dutch girls and hip hop, and they put them together. As former young girls yourselves that were thrown into a spotlight that was kind of turned off pretty quickly. What of the hip hop and Double Dutch story? What's going on there that you see happening? Misogyny, commodification, commercialism, all these big things that you were just doing your thing, right? But now looking back, do you see any of this at play in your story?
We should have had a manager. I mean, nowadays, the artists, all have managers and stuff like that to speak out for them and stuff like that. So I would think something like that would have been nice and important to have back then.
I don't know if this answers the question, and I'm trying not to get emotional because that's why I'm still doing what I'm doing. Because I just feel like I can't believe I'm crying. I can't have this happen to other girls. There's so many things, so many reasons I want to continue. And that's, like I said, why I'm coaching. But the thing is, I'm starting to see they have no clue either. They don't see the importance of a lot of things I try to share with them. And even when I talk to the coaches, they don't understand.
They don't understand.
And I'm like, all I can do is bring it up, make you aware, and then let it go. Because if you don't want to hear me, I can't make you hear me. Mm-hmm. But I can definitely show you in time. You will see in time how things happen and why they happen and the stuff to look out for and things to do. I want things, I just want it to be better than what we were. And me being there, I have a purpose to help these people, these teams, these girls, these kids, and to hopefully prosper and grow further than I did. And, some resistance, so it makes it hard for me, but I can only do what I can do.
And for me, if you don't mind, Leslie, it's always been about our legacy. Mm-hmm. And I have always said this, if we don't tell our story, who's going to tell it? Mm-hmm. Yes, we could have been a bit more assertive. I'm not going to say aggressive, assertive. Yes, we could have been. Mm-hmm. That meant the sport could have gone further. You're absolutely right. But it's important for people to know who we are and what we did. Leslie, we were 4 young girls. Now I'm getting emotional. From the Lower East Side of Manhattan. And all we wanted to do was come out and play. Never thought we would be touring and going around the world. Never thought we would be leaving the hood. Never thought we would be on a national commercial, too, matter of fact. Never thought we would be featured in a documentary. All of that is joyful enough because not a lot of people, especially kids, young kids that look like us, can say that. So that brings us joy. And that's part of our legacy. Nobody can take that away from us. No one.
Okay, the joy will always be in our hearts forever. But I want to say Double Dutch in itself, it's not celebrated enough. Mm-hmm. So this is why we stay with it, because we want to see it progress. We want it to see it still exist forever and ever. Mm-hmm. And that is why we are still in it for the long haul. Mm-hmm. And that's why also we do interviews. Definitely. Which we thank you for this platform.
Yes, Leslie.
It really does mean so much. You just don't know.
Yeah.
Well, it's an honor to speak to each of you and to have you here. And we are all so fortunate to have heard your story today. Dolores, Nikki, Deshawn, Robin, thank you so much for this. This has been deeply meaningful.
Thank you.
Leslie, thank you.
We're going to be 4 little old ladies without canes and still jumping rope.
Hey, if you're still there, thank you so much for sticking around and for listening to this very special episode of Niche to Meet You. My name is Leslie Eiler Thompson. I'm the producer and creator of this project, and I'm doing a whole lot more over on Substack. I'm trying to write more frequently about these incredible niche subcultures, what it means for us, and sometimes I even have some edited, sound designed audio pieces that go with the essays. Everything is free to read. You don't need to pay any subscription, but paid subscribers will get early listens to brand new full-length niche episodes as they arrive in the world. So anyway, thank you for joining us on this party bus of niche delights. I hope you'll join us over on Substack. My name's Leslie Eiler Thompson, and we'll see you next time. I hope you enjoyed this episode, my new niche buddy. There are more episodes waiting for you wherever you're listening to this one right here, right now. So go find them, like our episode about dog agility, or like vintage car radio restoration. There is so much more to be found in the Nicheverse. I'm so glad to have had you with us. Don't be a stranger. We'll see you next time.